Hello there. I would like to first address the elephant in the room that, yes, this devlog is 2 days late at the time of recording. 3 days late, probably by the time it actually goes out. That is not because of any kind of problems with the project, necessarily. It's just because life got in the way. I've been having a rough time away from this, and so I've not had as much time to get to the PC. However, I have been doing some work. The work that I've done involves a little thing called an MMO kit, one done by creators called Code Spartan. And you may think that's cheating a little bit, considering I said I would be doing the code myself, but I'm only using it for some aspects, and for other aspects, I'm going to be completely rewriting what they've done. I still need to have a full understanding of how they did what they did in order to do the thing. I'm mostly just using it for the server files, which are in C#, and I am terrible at C#. I can do C++, I can do blueprints, but I don't know what it is about C#. I just don't really do too well with it. And besides, the server is actually only a very, very small part of what needs to be done overall. You may notice that there's not much editing going along with this. That's again due to the fact that, I've not had much time, but I did still want to get this done, get this recorded, get this uploaded. The first thing that I want to talk about is what's going to be coming up soon, and then past that, I will be talking about the name of this video, which may seem like clickbait, but is in fact not, mostly. It might be overhyping something a bit, but it's not clickbait. The things that are left to do at the moment are fixing some of the things that MMO kit adds. Like, for example, they have a system where they have like a World of Warcraft style camera set up, but it's kind of crap. It doesn't have tab target, which is something I know how to do tab target, so I can add that in. I just have to make sure that it replicates properly. Also, there's this really annoying thing that Unreal Engine has in general, and I'm going to start sort of playing. So I've created 2 characters here, and each of these characters is like an admin in the game, and as you can see, it has the sort of like standard WSD movement, Q and E to strafe, and right click to move the camera in a way that rotates the character, and left click to move in a way that doesn't rotate the character. You'll be familiar with this if you've ever played sort of World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, the usual MMOs. There's an issue in the fact that right click is also interact. So yeah, right click for interact and attack. The problem with that is that whenever you hold right click down to move the camera, if you let go of left click, and these are some resource nodes I've been working on, I'll get to those in a minute. If you let go, it will do the interact. I need to separate the interact out from the camera movement. I need to add in the tab target. I need to do, because left click selects mobs, or it can select other players. As you can see, it does this little thing below. I need to make that be able to select anything, including like resource nodes and stuff. And there's another thing as well. You see like the name over their heads? There's this really annoying thing about Unreal Engine whenever it comes to the way that they render sort of things in screen space versus world. As you may see, I can still see the nameplate even when I am not only far away. In fact, let me go to like the other end of the map, see if there is like a actual despawn distance. Okay, there is a despawn distance for the nameplates, but you can still see it through yourself, and you can also still see it through walls. You may notice in games like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, they don't do that. You can see the nameplates visible in front of you, and you can see nameplates through walls whenever you've selected someone, but you can't see the nameplates through walls when you don't have a person selected. That is something that I really want to add. The only problem with adding it is that would require a custom render pass, because Unreal Engine 5 does not do that natively. Your choices are either screen space, in which case it generates like a little thing in the world, but the only problem world space generates a little thing in the world. The only problem about world space is that whenever you back up, it sort of like the anti-aliasing kicks in and it looks like crap. Like the text becomes really distorted, especially if the text is like thin. And there's the other method that Ashes of Creation has done, because Ashes of Creation is also being made in Unreal Engine. And the way that they've done it is like if the character is partially occluded, so say like, you know, they're half behind a wall, it just vanishes the nameplate, and then when they're not half behind a wall, it makes it pop back in. I don't like the way that that looks. I think that that's an ugly way of doing it, but that may be the only way that I can get around it if I want to have nameplates. If not, then I might just do a thing of you don't see a nameplate unless you have something selected, in which case it'll follow the same logic as WoW and Final Fantasy XIV, in which case, you know, you'd still be able to see them through walls. The next thing is I want to add in some provisions for what's called impossible travel. In other words, if someone speed hacks themselves and goes far too fast, then the server doesn't pick that up and doesn't correct for it, which means that people could cheat their speed. There's not a lot of things that people can cheat in this server system, luckily, because, you know, I've been browsing through the files, seeing how it all works. And there's not a lot of things that can get cheated because a lot of this is server authoritative. And I've been learning how that works as I've been adding things in, and, you know, I'll get to the resource nodes in a minute because they're really, really important. Anytime you try and alter anything, the server will say there's a discrepancy between how you've edited your client-side version and the version of your character that's on the server files. Therefore, the server files win out, and we're going to replace whatever edits that you've done. So that's how you really want to run an MMO. It's gotten to the point where I understand this enough to where I can do something that, and this is the thing that is mentioned in the title, something that has never been done in an MMO before, at least not one that I've seen, and I've played a lot of them. I played Final Fantasy XIV, I've played Elder Scrolls Online, I've played Guild Wars 1 and 2, I've played Perfect World International, RuneScape, obviously. I played a lot of MMOs. I even played like Ultima Online back in the day. And in every single game, whenever it comes to gathering resources, either they take the RuneScape and World of Warcraft approach, which is resources are specific to the world, as in whenever one player mines a resource, it is gone for everyone else. The other way that it's done is the Final Fantasy XIV approach, where it says you have these nodes sort of sat out in the world that are just visual effects, and whenever you gather them, you know, you only, like, you gather your own individual version of it, as in it's all player specific, but the world doesn't really change. Like, you don't see any interaction, you don't see any reaction to you interfacing with the world. Like, the sparkle or the visual effect goes away, but the wall that you just tunnel to get silver ore still looks the same. I've managed to do both, which is, as you can see, from admin's perspective, all four of these nodes still exist. From Adminius's perspective, this one has been mined. And you may notice it's still not respawned yet, despite my 11 minutes of waffling on. And the reason is because they cycle. And what I mean by that is, I've mined one, I've mined two. Yeah, I know there's no mining animations or anything yet, but, you know, I'll come later. I'll mine 3, and then when I mine number 4, number 1 comes back. And this is individual for everyone as well. So, like, say, I'll mine 1, 3, 4, and then 2, and then 1 comes back. 1, 3, 4, and then 2 has come back, and it does it in order. So whatever was the first one that you mined will be the first one that respawns. And I had to go through quite a process to get in this. Just scroll up to sort of like, as I was writing out the plan, is that there is a struct, which is sort of a structure, it's a sort of a collection of data that has a gather group. And in that gather group, it tells you how many nodes that you have to collect before it respawns the first node in that group. Then, like, whenever you mine a node, it adds that to a list on the character. And as you gather each one, it keeps adding, like, because they all have individual IDs. It adds that ID to the list. Oh, whenever the list is longer than the cycle count, then it respawns the first one. And the way that I've set up these nodes as well is that they're not model specific. They use a generic. In fact, I'll show you. If I go into gather node base, you see there's nothing here. And the reason is because it's got a full mesh and a depleted mesh. These meshes are just models. So whenever you mine something, it replaces the full mesh with the depleted one. And then whenever it respawns, it replaces the depleted one with the full one. This means that I can do a number of things. I can create multiple different gather nodes that all have the same base blueprint, but you know, like I could have a tree as the full mesh and a stump as the depleted mesh. So whenever you cut down a tree, you get the logs and it just brings in the stump, and then whenever it respawns, it brings the full tree back. And I do have some assets I can do from that thanks to Synty, S-Y-N-T-Y. That's where I get my assets from at the moment in terms of visuals. They are a bit annoying in some places though. Like the depleted model is something that I had to create myself by editing one of their existing models because they didn't have one, which is a bit irritating. But I did make it. And I have some other versions as well. And the way that I've set it up too is that, say you have like a dandelion on the ground and then you pick the dandelion, obviously nothing's going to be left over because you've pulled up the whole plant. So I can have the depleted mesh be nothing, and instead it will just hide the full mesh, and it'll be invisible until such time that you've picked enough things in order for the first one to pop back into existence. And another part of it as well is that it's scalable for a number of characters that are in the area. In other words, because the way that they work, and you see the nodes aren't on the map, and they weren't on the map until I joined the world. And the reason for that is what each of these are is spawners, because this version of the world is the server version. This is the version that anything that I add here, everyone sees. So I add in these little spawners, and they choose, there's like data assets that gives you the information on what kind of node spawns here, the node ID, what resource group it's from, etc. And what that means is that every time a player loads in this area, because, you know, whenever you go into an MMO, the whole world isn't loaded at once. Only certain sections of it are loaded. It's called world partition. Whenever this loads in, it will spawn a version of the node only for you. It's your personal version of it. It's still owned by the server, so you still can't cheat it or anything. But the visuals, at least, are only for you. And that's fine, because even though the visuals are client-side, essentially, even if you could edit the visuals, and even then, it will, whenever you go to mine it, it'll still replace it with the mesh that's stored on the server. So you wouldn't be able to mod in anything that actually changes anything state-wise. It'll just replace itself. I may add a system where you can sort of like edit UI elements later down the line, so people can have add-ons. I'm not too fussed about people using UI add-ons, but for now, everything is server-side. But because you have your own sort of displayed version of the node, whenever you interact with it, only you see that change. And this was a sort of a pain to get my head around, because as I said in the introductory video, I'm not fully familiar with all of this sort of server-based architecture stuff. I think I've done a pretty good job of actually creating something that doesn't already exist, therefore already adding value. And it may only seem like one small feature, but this was like a lot of programming that went into the background. And some other things that I've been doing as well is I've been working on a list of skills that I'm going to be adding in, because I said like I do a minimum of 18, and I'm not sure if the way that I've done it is going to be the final list. What I've done is 10 life skills, essentially, like 10 gathering and crafting skills, and then 8 weapon skill lines to bring it up to 18. I don't know if that feels like I'm cheating a little bit, because the way that RuneScape had theirs, because I'm trying to meet their scope, is that they had like maybe 4 or 5 combat skills and then the rest were all gathering and crafting. I may add more gathering and crafting depending on how well the weapons skill lines go. But yeah, this is sort of the introductory set of things that I wanted to make. The way that I'm splitting these up is the axe and shield and the axe and shield is sort of specifically tank. And I know most people go sword and shield, but Let's change it up a bit. It allows for some abilities that have been cooking up in my head, like the way that bearded axes work in actual combat is that they could be used to sort of like hook your leg and pull it to pull you down, or it can hook your shield away. Like bearded axes, they worked great in sort of Viking shield walls. And the axe and shield is pure tank. Greatsword I'm seeing as sort of a tank DPS. Like you can either tank or physical DPS. Wand and focus is pure magic damage. Staff is a mixture of magic damage and healing. Daggers are pure physical DPS. Bow is pure range DPS. The relic is sort of a jack of all trades. So the way that the relic works sort of in my head is that it's essentially a holy relic. This is going to be a really interesting weapon to try and figure out. It's a holy relic that, depending on how you synergize it with your other skills, you can either have the relic form into sort of a physical weapon to be sort of more like a paladin, or you can have it form into a magical focus, so you can be a sort of more of a cleric. And then the term is pure healer. So that's the sort of layout I've gone from there. Gathering, mining, obviously. Forestry is woodcutting. Fishing is fishing. Botany is plants, and that'll also include like farming. I wanted to combine like herb lore and farming into one. And then butchery is it's a mixture of hunting from RuneScape and skinning from World of Warcraft. Like you can collect hides, you can collect meat, you can collect teeth, you can collect horns, scales. It's how you carve up the body of fallen enemies, and they don't just have to be beasts either. It could be like, you know, you use butchery to cut off like a demon's horns that you can then use to craft something cool. Maybe you could cut out their tooth and make a guitar pick from it. If you know, you know. Then from the crafting, I've got tailoring, which matches up with botany and forestry. Smithing obviously matches up with mining. Cooking matches up with fishing and butchery and botany, like all of these. Woodworking matches up with forestry and a bit of botany. And alchemy matches up with fishing, botany. It matches up with a lot of these actually, because there's a lot of different things that you could mine from certain resources to get alchemy ingredients. You know, say you could mine sulfur. You could get the sap from trees, because like tree tapping is something that would be part of forestry too. You could use fish oils for alchemy, or you can fish up like little creatures from the ocean that you could crush up and put in. Obviously botany, pick herbs and plants, and then butchery, you could use humors and, you know, animal eyes and whatever else to make your concoctions. So alchemy would be the one that's sort of spread over the most, gathering things. But even then, like even the crafting skills will have more priorities with certain gathering skills. There'll be something from everything. You'll have to sort of level them all up in tandem, which is kind of like how Final Fantasy XIV works. Like you have to sort of work between all of your gathering and crafting skills and leveling them up together, which is why so many people who actually put the time into it become omni-crafters. And all of these skills will be levelable on a singular character. You wouldn't have to switch characters in order to level up everything. As for the max level, I'm still got it set at 99 at the moment, but obviously I'm going to have to sort of sit there and go through all the skills that I would want in each skill line. There's another thing that I have planned to... Oh yeah, getting into the very basic AI of making enemies walk around and fight you. And then also experience gathering. Because, you know, I've already got a mining node in, I might as well sort of like add in the experience thing. I'm also going to like redo the inventory that comes in the basic sort of kit, because like just to sort of open up it looks god awful. And like this is the iron ore too. And another thing that I really didn't like about this kit that I've had to fix, and you know, it's got one up on World of Warcraft, at least you can move around the UI elements, but something else that I had to fix was the fact that whenever you mined something or whenever you gathered something, it would add it into a new slot every time. It didn't stack anything. Now granted, I've still not got the full stack logic sorted. I mean, it doesn't really show at the moment because this is only 32. I wanted to sort of do like certain items you can collect, you can stack into certain amounts. So, you know, you got to manage your inventory space to a degree. There's like lots of little things in doing this one big feature that I've had to do on the sort of the sidelines. And you may have also noticed as well, whenever I load in, all of these have repopulated, even though, you know, there should still be some missing. And the reason for that is because I don't have it writing what lists of nodes have, you know, have been mined to the database yet. So every time I exit out of that, it's the same as exiting out the server, and normally that saves everything to the database. And then whenever you log back in, because the server doesn't maintain the active the status of everyone, including everyone who's online and offline. Everyone who's online is maintained in the server. Everyone who's offline is maintained in the database. And the database gets periodically updated every so often as you're playing, so that way if there's a server crash, you don't lose everything. I need to add that feeding back into the database, so that's another on the to-do list. And this has been a really sort of ramshackle update, which after all the preparation I went into making that introductory video is probably going to be incredibly disappointing. But if you have suffered my rambling long enough to get to the end of this, I wholeheartedly thank you for listening. I really do. In fact, just to prove it, just so that you can prove that you're above everyone else, in the comments, comment a funny story from an MMO that you've played before. And if you do comment a funny story, I will heart the comment and reply with smiley faces. Just because you went through the trouble of getting all the way to the end. We'll see who does it. Also, I'm really interested to hear some sort of funny stories from MMOs, because it's probably my most played genre of game. So hopefully, if life stops getting in the way, I'll have more progress to show in the next devlog. I'll be going back to the old schedule, so the next one will be 19th to 26th, 26th, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31st, 1st, 2nd. So it'll be the 2nd of February. I could have just pulled up the calendar on my computer, but I'm stupid. And I'm recording this at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday after spending all night working on this. I'll lose my mind by the end of this, but hopefully by me losing my mind, the product will come out better. Who knows? So yeah, thanks for following this project. It really means a lot that you stuck around. Give the video a like, share it around a bit, let people know what I've been creating. Subscribe to the channel so that you can say that you were here from the beginning. You're one of the OGs. You've always been around. Whenever this project finally hits the big time. See you in the next video.